Hello everyone. Welcome to another lecture on reasoning ability and problem solving. In today's lecture, we'll discuss some exercises questions for following directions. In the previous lectures, we discussed the type of questions that comes into your exams for following directions. This topic has another name which is called direction and distance test. This is also a name that is sometimes used when we talk about this topic. So, in total, we discussed that there are six types of problems that can be formed from following directions. Number one was direction sense. Number two was relative directions. Then, the third type of problem was related to distance and direction. Then, we discussed about routes and paths. Then, we discussed about coded direction and distance. And lastly, we talked about turns and rotations based on problems. So these were the six types that we discussed. In today's lecture, we will cover these first three types of problems, that is direction sense, relative directions, and distance and direction. So we'll discuss some questions from these three types of problems. So let us start. This is the first type, that is direction sense. In these type of questions, we have to figure out in which direction is the person facing. And over here, I told you various concepts when it comes to following direction. So the first was to remember the basic directions, that is north, south, west, and east. And based on this, you have certain secondary directions also, which is northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest. So this I told you. Then I also told you about relative direction, how to find directions from one person or one object's point of view. Then we also discussed left and right. Then we also discussed clockwise and anti-clockwise directions. What do you mean by them? Then we talked about rotation, so 90 degrees and 45 degrees rotation, 180-degree rotation, 270-degree rotation. We discussed all these. And then I also told you about Pythagoras theorem, which is a square equals to b square plus c square. So all these concepts were discussed in the previous lectures. So based on all these concepts, today we will solve the questions on following directions. So type 1, direction sense. Vikas walks 10 meters towards north. So let's say this is the initial position of Vikas. He is moving 10 meters in the north direction. Then he took a left turn. So here he took a left turn and walked for 15 meters. And again he took a left turn. So he took a left turn and walked for 10 meters. So again he'll come back to this point. So this point and this point will be in the same line. This we discussed, right? And then he stopped walking. Towards which direction was he facing when he stopped walking? So he was facing, definitely he was facing this direction when he stopped walking. He was facing this direction. And what is this direction called? This direction is the south direction. Hence our answer will be option number 1, south. Easy? Now, a river flows west to east. So again, a small diagram for your reference. A river flows west to east. So this is how the river is flowing. And on the way it turns left. So if river turns left, right, it will take this direction. So if it is flowing like this, left will meet, it will flow like this now. This will be the direction and it goes in a semicircle. So it means that the river is going like this and it made a semicircle. Right? It made a semicircle. And then it turned left at right angle. So from here it was flowing west to east. Then it turned left and made a semicircle like this, right? Then it took a left turn. So left will be in this side, right? In which direction is the river finally flowing? So this direction, towards this direction, means it is flowing towards east. So answer will be option number 1, east. Okay, clearly you can see it was flowing like this, then it made a semicircle, and at the right angle it started flowing towards the left direction. So again it is going towards the east direction. It is following east direction. Now, a man is facing west. So west is which direction? North, south, west and east. So man is facing this direction. Okay, so a man is facing this direction, west direction, right? He turns 45 degrees in the clockwise direction. So I told you clockwise will be like this. This is the clockwise direction. So he turns 45 degrees. That means he'll come here. In 45 degrees, the man will come here, right? In clockwise direction, that means we are going like this, clockwise. Then he took another 180 degrees in the same direction. So same clockwise, from in clockwise direction, he turned 180 degree. So it will be here. This will be 180 degree, right? Now, then he took 270 degrees in the anti-clockwise direction. So this direction is anti-clockwise. So if he turns 270 degree anti-clockwise, 180 degree already covered. Then this entire angle, this angle, this will be a 270 degree angle. How? So let's say if it was like this, this is 90 plus 90 plus 90. So this entire angle is 270 degree angle. So the man will be facing this position now, this direction. So find which direction is he facing now. So if you look at this direction is called what? Southwest. So the man will be facing southwest. So answer option number 1, southwest, will be the correct answer. Now, Anil starts walking in the east direction. So Anil is walking in the east direction. East direction is which side? Again, let me draw the diagram. Once you get habitual of these questions, once you solve enough questions, you won't have to draw this diagram. But I always suggest that before starting your exam, just draw this diagram somewhere on the page to avoid any sort of confusion. Okay, so Anil starts walking in the east direction. So Anil is walking over here, this direction, and traveling some distance is not known. He takes a right turn. So now if the distance is not known, we don't have to draw to scale, because nothing is fixed. I always told you to, whenever distance is mentioned, always draw to scale. That means if this is 2, then this much length should be drawn for 4 to avoid any sort of confusion. But here, since the distance is not mentioned, we don't have to draw to scale. So he starts walking towards east, right? And then after traveling some distance, he takes a right turn. So right turn will be here, right? Then he took a left turn. So left turn would be this side, followed by another left turn. So another left will be this side, right? Now he again took a right turn. So again he took a right turn this side, and finally took a left turn. So left turn will be this side. So we have to find in which direction is Anil walking. So Anil is clearly walking towards the north. So answer will be option number 2, north. Now, again, while facing east, so the person is facing east like this, it turns left and walk 10 meter. So let's say this was the initial point or the starting point. The person starts from here, take a left will be this side, and starts walking for 10 meter, right? Then he takes a left and walk 10 meter again. So left will be this side, he walked for 10 meter. Then he turns 45 degrees towards my right. So 45 degrees, if let's say if we draw something like this, what will be the 45 degree? 45 degree will be here. So he takes a 45 degree turn towards the right, in the northwest direction. So direction is also mentioned to us, northwest direction, and covers 25 meters. So here, from here he goes 25 meter in the northwest direction. At this point, in which direction am I from my starting point? So we have to find out what is this direction in relation to this direction. So clearly this direction is like this. That means it is towards the northwest, which is option number 4. So option number 4 will be the correct answer to this question. Now, relative directions, in which we have to find out the direction of an object with respect to another object. Okay, so town D is towards east of town F. So if town D is towards the east of town town F, so it will be something like this. Town B is towards north of town D, so B will be to the north of D. Town H is towards south of town B. Okay, now if it is not written where H is, it is just written that it is south of B. So if it is south of B, there are 3 possibilities. It could be here, above B, above D. It could be here also with D, and it could be down also, below D also. So it is not mentioned 3 positions, 1, 2nd, and 3. 3 possibilities of H is possible, right? We have to find out towards which direction is H from F. So if H is here, that means it is in the northeast direction. If H is here, it means it is in the west direction. And if H is here, it is in the east direction. And if H is here, that means it is in the southeast direction. So we cannot really determine the exact direction of H with respect to F. Therefore, our answer will be option number 4, cannot be determined. Now, point P is 10 meter to the west of point A. So point P is 10 meter to the west of point A. Point B is 2 meter to the south of point P. So point B is 2 meter to the south of point P. Point Q is 6 meter to the east of point B. So E will be somewhere here, 6 meter to the east of point B. Similarly, point C is 2 meter to the north of point Q. Sorry, this is Q. This is not E. Right. Point Q is 6 meter to the east of point B. Point C is 2 meter to the north of point Q. So it is 2 meter here. 2 meter north of point Q. This is point C. C will be here. Right? Which of the following 3 falls in a straight line? So this is the diagram. Clearly we have to find out which of the following 3 falls in a straight line. So ACP, I can very clearly see that ACP falls in a straight line. Hence our answer will be option number 1, A, C and P. Now, question number 3. Point R is 15 meter. Point R is 15 meter to the east of point U. It is in 15 meter east of point U. Point P is 10 meter west of point Q, which is 15 meter north of point W. So this information we cannot plant yet because neither P nor Q nor W is mentioned yet. Let us move on. Point S is 15 meter west of point T. Again, we cannot use this information right now. Point Q is, okay, this information we can use. Point Q is 15 meter south of point R. So here, this is point Q. Right? Now let us see. Point P is 10 meter west of point Q. So it is here. Point P is 10 meter west of point Q. And Q is 15 meter north of point W. So we have to go 15 meter down to W over here. Right? Point S is 15 meter west of point T. We cannot use this information right now. Now, point T is 5 meter east of point W. So it is 5 meter. Here we have T east of W. Now, point S is 15 meter west of point T. If it is 15 meter west of point T, that means it will fall in the same line as P. Correct? Now, point V is 15 meter north of point P. So, point V will fall here, 15 meter north of point P. Now we have to find out point S is in which direction with respect to point P. So with respect to point P, point S is in which direction? It is towards the south. So our answer will be option number 1, south. This will be the correct answer. Again, A walks 10 kilometer. A walks 10 kilometer north of point Q. So A is a person, it is not a point. He walks 10 kilometer north of point Q to reach point H. Okay. He then takes a left turn and walks 9 kilometer to reach point S. So left turn 9 kilometer to reach S. Then on the other side, there's another person. B walks 5 kilometer north of point Y. So I am drawing here for B. B walks 5 kilometer north of Y. So two persons are there. First person is A and the second person is B. B walks 5 kilometer north of point Y to reach point J. Okay. Point Y is 9 kilometer either to the east or west of point Q. So this is not given to us. Let us assume I'm just assuming it is towards the east. If I assume it is towards the east, my diagram will look something like this. In exam, always take two possibilities. So solve for two possibilities together. Draw another diagram. So let me draw another diagram over here. So in this diagram, the possibility is that it is towards the west. Point Y is towards the west of point Q. I'm taking this possibility. So first possibility, second possibility. And then from Y he walks, this is 10, and from Y he walks 5 kilometer upwards to reach J towards the north. Okay. So this is possibility 1 and this is possibility 2. Now let us continue solving. Next, B turns to his right and walks 4 kilometer to reach point D. So B was here, he turns to his right and walks 4 kilometer to reach point D. Over here, he turns right to D, reach D. Also, A turned left from point S. So A is turning left and reached point M after walking 5 kilometers. So if A turns left, it will reach here, which is point M after walking 5 kilometers. So here, if it takes left, it will come back to this point J, which is M, which is also distance between S and M will be 5 kilometers. So let me write it a bit more clearly. So this point was S, this point is called M and J both, and this distance is 5. So this is possibility 2, this is possibility 1. Now, M is in the west direction from J. So this is given to us. So this possibility becomes nullified. This possibility is not true now. This cannot hold true. Not true. Because this does not actually, this is the condition that M is in the west direction from J. This does not suffice this condition. Hence, this diagram must be true. Now, if B walks 4 kilometer east from point Y. So, from point Y, B is walking east. East would be in this direction. Right? And he walks for 4 kilometers. So, he reached this point. Right? Then he is in which direction with respect to point D? So, clearly, this is also 4, this is also 4. J and Y falls into a line. So, this is in the south direction. So, our answer will be option number 2, south. Now, this is the same question but a different part. So, up till here, M is in the west direction from J. This is the same question. Now, which is the direction of J with respect to Q? So, let me draw the diagram again really quickly. A walks 10 kilometer from point P to reach point H. Then he takes a left turn and walks 9 kilometer to reach point S. Then here at the 9 kilometer distance we have what point Y. From Y he is walking 5 kilometer upwards to reach point J. This is 5, so this must, I'm drawing to scale, so 5 is this, let's say, right? Then he turns right and walks 4 kilometer to reach D, and he turns left, and after walking 5 kilometers he reaches point M. So point M and J and D are in the same line. These 3 points fall in the same line. Okay. Now, what is the direction of J with respect to Q? So over here, this is the direction J with respect to Q. With respect to Q, J is in which direction? It is in the northeast direction. So our answer will be option number 2, northeast. Clear? Now, distance and directions. Ashok started walking towards south. So Ashok is walking towards the south. After walking, let's say this is the starting point. After walking 50 meter, he takes a right turn and walked 30 meter. So this direction. He then took again a right turn and walked 100 meters. So from here, he'll walk here 100 meters. Right? He then again took a right turn and walked 30 meters. So right turn again and 30 meters here. He'll fall in the same line with the starting point now. And he stopped. How far and in which direction was he from the starting point? So this is the starting point. From starting point, the direction is north. And how far? So it will be 100 minus 50. That is 50 meter. So he will be in the 50 meter north, which is option number 4. So option number 4 is your correct answer. Now, Veena walked 5 meter towards north. So Veena is going 5 meter towards north. Then took a left turn and walked 7 meters. So left will be this side, walked for 7 meter, right? She then took a left turn again and walked for 8 meters. So left will be this side and she walked for 8 meter. Then she took a left turn again and walked 7 meters. So left will be this side and 7 meters. So she'll come again back in line with the starting point. Then finally she took a left turn and walked 1 meter. So left and then again walked 1 meter, right? And then she stopped. So how far is Veena from the starting point? So from starting point till here, we can say this direction 8 will be equals to, let's say this direction is x, then x plus 5 plus 1. So x will be 2 meter, which is option number 4. So option number 4 will be the correct answer. Now, Lakshman went 15 kilometer to the west. So 15 kilometer to the west from my house. So let's say this is the house. I am just assuming. 15 kilometer west is in this direction. Then he turned left and walked 20 kilometers. So left will be this direction and walking for 20 kilometers. Right? He then turned east. East will be this direction and he walked for another 25 kilometer. And finally turning left. So he turned again left and covered 20 kilometers. So coming back in line with the house. How far was he from my house? So from here you can see it is, let's say this distance is x. Very clearly 25 will be x plus 15. So x will be 10 kilometer. So answer will be option number 2, 10 kilometer. This is question number 4. Nishu started walking from a fixed point. So let's say this is the fixed point and goes 15 kilometer towards north. So 15 kilometer towards north. He then takes a right and goes 15 kilometers. So again, right and goes 15 kilometer, right? Then he goes 10, 15 and 15 meters after turning to his left each time. So he took 3 turns, left, left, left. And he first for left, he went 10 meters. For second left, he went for 15 meters. And for third left also, he went for 15 meters. So let us do that. Let's say this is the starting point. He went for 15 meter. and then he turned right to go 15 meter, right? Then he took a left, so this direction goes 10. Then he took a left, then went 15, and then he took a left and went 15. So here he'll get here. How far is in from the starting point? So if this is the starting point, 15 would be this 10 plus 5. So from starting point he would be 15 minus 5, that is at a distance of 10 meter. So option number 2 will be your correct answer. Now, a man walks okay. A man walks 12-meter east from the point A, reached point B. So from A, 12-meter east, reached point B. Then B, from B, he takes a left turn and walks for 4 meter, reached point, this point. And then he takes a right turn and walk for 6 kilometers. Right? And again he takes a right turn and walks 7 meters. So right turn again, 7 meter down. And again he takes right turn, again another right turn, and reaches point M. So we are not given the direction of how much distance he traveled. We just know that he is walking towards this direction to reach point M. Now it is given that point B is in north from point M. So point M will be exactly below B. This will be point M. So this distance will be 6, right? Now we have to find the distance between B and M. So here very clearly, if I mark this as C, let's say, and I mark this as D, CD will be equals to, this is let's say P. Okay, just random names. CD will be equal to PB plus BM. This we know, this is 7. This we know is 4, and we have to find the distance between B and M. So B and M, distance between them will be 3 meter, which is option number 4. So this is the answer. Here you can clearly see. So this concludes this lecture. Thank you.